Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. The quote of the day from this article was the call that Keith Davidson made to Dylan Howard at 3 a.m. in 2016 after Trump had won the election. And the quote was, "What have we done?" This is a text message, I believe, shared between the two men. Okay, so who are the players here? Keith Davidson. Keith Davidson was on was testifying today in the Trump criminal trial. He is the lawyer who was representing Karen McDougal and then later Stormy Daniels in their negotiations with Trump Org and or AMI for the selling of their stories. Davidson was on trial today basically laying out what the negotiations were like as he tried to negotiate selling Karen McDougal's story to National Enquirer for $150,000. And then the issues that they ran into trying to sell Stormy Daniels' story. So basically what happened here is that he was involved in the Karen McDougal negotiations, got that through, but Trump never paid the National Enquirer for purchasing the Karen McDougal stories. So when it came time to where Stormy Daniels was doing things, the National Enquirer was not really interested in buying her story. And the reason was that a lot of their magazines are sold through Walmart, and having a story about an adult entertainer on the front cover was not something that maybe Walmart wanted to put in front of their customers. And the fact that Trump wasn't paying for the previous one, the heck, they're going to shell out another $130,000 for her story. Okay, so in walks Michael Cohen, and he worked. So basically, AMI told Trump, "No, we're not buying it." So Trump wants Michael Cohen to take care of it. So Cohen negotiates with Keith Davidson the $130,000 payment. Prior to that, so what was happening? So that's kind of the high level. What was happening at the time was the Access Hollywood tape had come out. And that all of a sudden gave Keith Davidson and Stormy Daniels leverage on their story, because the Trump campaign is doomed right now because of this breaking story from Access Hollywood. There was a text that Mr. Davidson sent to National Enquirer editor Dylan Howard after the Access Hollywood tape was released, and it said, Ms. Daniels talking, i.e. bringing her story out, is the final nail in the coffin, but he's really effed already. And then Mr. Howard texted back, Trump is effed. Wave the white flag, it's over, people. But they negotiated a price. And that price got paid by Michael Cohen. And that basically put on ice the Stormy Daniels story. Or so we thought. Turns out there were deadlines that Michael Cohen was supposed to make the payments, and or Trump or Michael Cohen were supposed to make the payments, and they weren't being made. So it suddenly occurred to the lawyer, Keith Davidson, that they're just trying to kick the can down the road and get it past the election, at which point they're not going to pay at all, because her not testifying before the election is the same as being paid off. It does, he won't be impacted by votes. So I imagine a little armed ringing went on there and said she's going to go public with it if you don't pay up. So Trump and company paid up the money. And that's by doing that, by basically knowing that he was going to be screwed in the female votes, that's what is going to lead to the election interference convictions against him. The other thing that I was seeing on this article and on the Midas Touch is that Keith Davidson's testimony is lining right up with David Pecker's testimony, and it's lining up with the timeline and the facts of things that were coming out at the time. So between David Pecker and Keith Davidson, things are, they've set up the stage really, really well. Keith Davidson goes under cross-examination tomorrow by the defense team, so we'll see what they try and do to undermine his credibility. But so far, they've set the place, they've set the table, and they're corroborating each other. So you have two people involved in a conspiracy. You have the two women, Cohen and Trump, and David Pecker. And in this case, this lawyer is the one representing these two women. So David Pecker, Keith Davidson, this lawyer, Michael Cohen, and Donald Trump. And these two people have corroborated each other. Michael Cohen's going to come on later on and basically corroborate what these two have said. And you can argue all you want that Michael Cohen's a liar and a felon and stuff like that. It doesn't matter because these two other guys who are not liars and felons have told factual truths. And those factual truths are backed up by data and paperwork. So go ahead, trash on Cohen all you want. You're not going to be able to undermine these two witnesses. They didn't do a good job of undermining David Pecker. We'll see how they do with Mr. Davidson. Hence the purpose of this reading. Let's go ahead and read on Keith Davidson and find out what is the energy around him and his testimony today. Entertainment purposes only. We start off with the betrayal card. Heartbreak and betrayal. There's a couple of ways to look at this. I started off with a quote from Keith Davidson to Dylan Howard, who's a publisher for AMI. And those were the two that were basically saying Trump's campaign was screwed. But because Keith Davidson negotiated the sale of this story and he kept everything hushed up, Trump got elected. And these two men understood just how big a mistake that they had just done. Literally, it's like watching the atom bomb, the mushroom cloud, explode off in the distance, and that realization, and you look, it's like, what have we done? What have we unleashed here? Thanks, guys. 8 years later, and we're still paying it, and we'll be paying the damage on this one for another 8 years. It was also denial of the voting public the information they needed to make an informed decision. It denied Hillary Clinton her rightful place as the president of the United States. And you got these two women that were involved in Trump, one voluntarily, one not so voluntarily, in this situation as well. I'm sure somewhere in here Donald Trump feels very betrayed too, that all this information's coming out, but he's the least of my concerns. Crossed with the Page of Swords. Yeah, it's that betrayal. It's keeping that information secret. For Trump, this guy's a traitor and a spy in the camp. Attorney-client privilege. He should have kept his mouth shut. He should have never talked about these negotiations here. Interesting, though, is temperance is underneath here. The detoxification. In some ways, Keith Davidson's testimony is his penance for the sins that he's negotiated. Now, as a lawyer, what he did was fine, legal. He negotiated for a client. He negotiated a story for a client. That's fine. You're allowed to do that. What Trump and Org did after that was illegal, but what he did was legal, but he knows his culpability in this. He knows the part that he played. And again, I think this is his little redemption arc. He's trying to now make up for the mistake he made and the consequences it's had on us over the last 8 years. In the past, King of Pentacles, he actually came onto this case to represent a different client. Let's see. I may not have the right story here. Yeah, he was brought in. A woman named Gina Rodriguez was already negotiating the deal with AMI when AMI backed out of the deal. Then Ms. Rodriguez didn't want to deal with Michael Cohen, so she handed the case over to Mr. Davidson, who became the lead negotiator. So he came in as a mercenary to get these negotiations going that eventually hid this information from the general public. By the way, and I think he upped it from $120,000 to $130,000 so that there'd be an extra $10,000 for his company that he, his business that he came in from. Current situation is the Five of Swords. But we're in court now, and I don't think he's got a plea deal. I don't think he needed one, but he sure as heck isn't going to lie for Donald Trump, and because there's no sense in perjuring himself, and he can explain how he negotiated everything for his two clients and who he negotiated with and the amounts and things along those lines. Very solid witness. Five of Swords. Now, this could be the card of narcissism, but it's also a card of no surrender type of thing. So I think his testimony is going to be hard to refute. I think that's what this is telling me right now. His testimony is going to be hard to refute. The overarching energy is the Six of Swords, moving from troubled waters to calm shores. David Pecker came across as an honest, truthful witness. This man, too, will come across as an honest, truthful witness. He still has to go through cross, but I think he's going to weather that just fine. He's a lawyer. He should be able to handle cross-examination without too much difficulty. And when you have, again, David Pecker and Keith Davidson explaining how the conspiracy was working, you're most of the way there now. Michael Cohen's testimony, well, it will be the piece de resistance of the trial, but anything that they would try and do on cross to undermine Cohen has already been addressed by these first two witnesses. The lesson to be learned, the Eight of Coins, the working for money. I wonder as after he's done his testifying and leaves his trial, if he might consider or reconsider who he's taking on as clients or how he's earning his money. This kind of, for him, this might be a cautionary tale about being a mercenary. Maybe being a little bit more discerning on who you work with and what cases you take so you can avoid moments like this. This might be a very big learning moment for him. Out comes the Ace of Pentacles. I do think that his testimony is going to move this case forward, and from the outlooks of it, his testimony has been very valuable. The low energy would be fool's gold. I'm not seeing that in here from the stuff I'm reading, listening to the Midas Touch network breakdown, excerpts of the transcripts of his testimony and such. I think he was a very solid and strong witness. And again, it's another person putting puzzle pieces in, framing the picture. It's like pretty much by now you've got like the exterior of the puzzle, most of it, if not all of it, now framed up, and they've started filling in pieces. And now you're going to get the Karen McDougals and Stormy Daniels / Stephanie Cliffords in there, adding in colorful pieces to it, and then Michael Cohen will come in and add more pieces to that puzzle. I wonder what the defense is going to do about this. Okay, so how will the defense attack the credibility of Keith Davidson? How are they going to go after Mr. Davidson? All right, yeah. There's a moon card that's going to pop up in here pretty soon. King of Swords. They're going to go after him as a lawyer. I tend to think like this is like my Jack Smith card. So they're going to go after him for like the decisions that he made. Things along those lines. Let's see how this is going to play out. Six of Coins, the charity, the passing of money along. Are they going to say he's just doing this for money? You're just protecting your clients. He doesn't really, kind of like, it's almost like they're saying, you don't really know where this money came from, right? You just negotiated the deal. You don't know where the money came from. You don't know what was done on these other things. I'm curious what's going on. Oh, and underneath it is Drunken Hillbilly Brawl card. What's a good Trump reading without the Drunken Hillbilly Brawl card underneath there? He's kind of stirred up a bee's nest, a hornet's nest in Team Trump. And it might be that he's just a solid witness. And they may not have the goods on him to go after him. This might be another David Pecker moment where their cross-examination, they need a home run and they're going to have, infield hit, balls that don't go out of the infield type of thing. Little dribblers to the shortstop. In the past, you got the 9 of Cups. Smug merchant. Is that Donald Trump? Is that him? I need a few more cards here. 5 of Coins. I think it sounds like they're going to say he's a lawyer. They're going to try to attack him. I think they're going to try and attack him about arrogance or previous cases he's been on. There's something about him that they want to go after. Like, he wasn't really making it or cutting it as a lawyer. He's like some hack lawyer who just took on these 2 charity cases here, trying to get some money, any money, almost like a shakedown type of thing. I don't know if that's going to work. But yeah, they're trying to muddy the waters. I don't think they're going to be really successful, though, but they're going to talk about money and how money was traded, who had money, who didn't have money. Overarching energy is the world card. I think these are confusing me. There's that moon card. What do we got here? Messaging, quick messaging. Okay. The laugh is, to me, this is more talking about Trump and his trial, his hearing that he had today about violating the gag order. Let me explain how that works. Here's Judge Merchan. Here's the fine that he's going to levy against Donald Trump. He's levied a fine. It's not going to make Trump in the poorhouse because Trump has too much money. But Judge Merchan says this is an end to these shenanigans about you attacking witnesses and such. So, I've laid down the law, and I'm not going to tell you what's next, but what's next could be jail. So, ball's in your court, and then there's going to be Trump maybe testing the waters with his messaging, trying to rile up his base. Like, he's going to put me in jail, huh? Well, I'm going to challenge him and see if he'll do it. Now, that came off really easy. But that wasn't the question that was asked. So now, how do I fit the pieces? Is that really what they're telling me, or do I go after this one? Okay, so I'll try and do it as a layered reading. So they're going to go after, this is the judge going after Trump's team and the gag order. And I don't think Trump is going to behave himself. I think there's going to be more tweets, more messages sent rather quickly about violating the gag order. Again, trying to rile his base because he's going to fundraise off of it. Now, if we're going to look at this, how are they going to cross-examine him? He's a pretty solid witness. They don't have a lot they can go on him. It's like they put all their money into attacking Michael Cohen. It's like his lawyers aren't very good. They were like, oh yeah, we got this case. We're just going to discredit Michael Cohen and we're going to be fine. But they didn't have an answer for David Pecker. They don't have an answer for Keith Davidson. I'm expecting that when they cross-examine him tomorrow, it's not going to go well. It's just going to end, and we're not going to know why they bothered cross-examining him. It's not going to deliver any points. There's no hits here. And again, they might go after him. Maybe he's not a very good lawyer, or he needed money, which is why he did this. His partners were going to kick him out, or he's just a charity case for these women. And that his career is on the wane, and by doing something like this, maybe he gets some notoriety. And then Trump's going to go play his accordion of hypnotic falsehoods and talk about how he's never met this lawyer before and never met him before, don't know who he is, he's not credible. It's going to be something like that. It's just not a very satisfying answer to the question. Now, if we're talking about gag orders, that makes a whole lot of sense here. Okay. Jeez. Okay. How will, maybe a better question is, how will the jury view Keith Davidson's testimony after his testimony today? How is the jury viewing him? We'll throw a little short four-quarter on that one. Trump's not going to be able to keep his mouth shut. He can't. Think about it. He's stuck in that courtroom, falling asleep again today. For somebody who's complaining how cold it is in there, the icebox as he referred to it, you sure fall asleep quickly. I imagine if it was a hot courtroom, you'd be all dozy and, it's warm, melt in there. But no, he can fall asleep in a cold courtroom. I guess he's bored with those details, right? Spare me the details. That's other people's jobs. What does the jury think of this guy? Valuable testimony. Just like on that first reading, he brought home the gold. They're going to sit there when they go to deliberations. They're going to remember this guy and his testimony, just like they would David Pecker. Yeah, home run, absolute home run. It's like his testimony. David Pecker's testimony was damning. This guy's testimony corroborates everything. Midas Touch was talking about fairly early on. Juries decide whether somebody's guilty or innocent, or they decide early on these cases. Between David Pecker and this guy, they have knocked it out of the park. The jury right now is ready to convict. If they could vote today, they would convict. Now, that's not fair because the defense has not put on their defense. But these two guys, you see 4 pillars here. These two guys are 2 solid pillars out of this 4. They could be all 4 pillars, but they're at least 2 of the pillars on here. And here's the agreements. It's showing the agreements between Trump, the lawyers as they negotiated it, David Pecker from AMI. It's showing the whole agreement here. That you don't even necessarily need the Michael Cohen third part of this conspiracy, but you do, and that's fine. That when they go through deliberations, they're going to remember all the agreements that were going on and what was happening at the time with the Access Hollywood tape. They're going to know how people felt and, just everything that's going on. Got a pair of aces in here, too. His testimony was damaging. It was really damaging. Right now, Trump's best bet, honestly, is to get a mistrial. That's literally his best bet, is to somehow get a mistrial. And that won't change the facts of the case. That will just delay the inevitable. I guess we should ask, will Trump try and go for a mistrial? Will insert your favorite Trump insults here. Little Donnie 2 Scoops, the mango... word that rhymes with poop and the leader of the Nazi party all combined into one word. Jeez. Lena's favorite, the Yeti. I try not to name call. I really don't like name calling people. About the most disrespectful I'll get is refer to somebody by their last name only without a Mr. in front of it. That's about as disrespectful as I'll be because it doesn't serve any purpose to me. It doesn't serve any purpose. If anything, to me, it lowers the energy when you're name calling and doing stuff like that. That doesn't mean like on my Quickie by the Bays and Afternoon Delights. Yeah, I'll do it then because they're supposed to be fun and lighthearted and snarky and making fun of something that's been causing us a lot of stress. Taking somebody who's just been lying to you to your face and just shoving it right back in them and laughing at them because you've had to endure the humiliation of their taunts and now you're rubbing it back in their face just for a little bit. A little pettiness goes a long way. Oh yes, I was going to ask, will Trump try and do something that might, say, cause a mistrial? King of Swords. Well, here's the judge. So we got the judge here. What are we going to cross the judge with? Victory. All right. Versus the look at me, low energy card. So there's going to be some action taken that's like, you're not paying attention to me. You need to look at me type of thing. Let's see what we've got here. Oh, and there's your messaging. Okay, there's going to be some messaging going on. Is this the judge having a victory? Is this Trump not obeying the gag order by texting? Look at me. I need Trump he's going nuts. Nobody's showing up to protest his trial. Gotta be driving him nuts. And he'll make up his own excuses. Oh yeah, the police must be blocking the roads. That's gotta be why my folks aren't showing up. He's just suspended reality here. And there he is. In the past. The King of Pentacles. You guys are throwing in comments in one of my recent videos about I was talking about how Trump's is running the VPs like The Apprentice. And the comments were like, yeah, he did the same thing with his kids. He had them all just tumbling all over each other, trying to outdo each other for his amusement. And that's the low energy of the King of Pentacles. It's like, I've got everything. What do you possibly bring to the table? Just looking down his nose at you. So that's him in the past here. What do we got in the present? Will he try and get a mistrial? Could be a health event. Pentacles are about health and wealth. This could be violating the gag order some more, getting a second fine, trying to fundraise off of it. But there could be a health event with this as well. Let's see how this all pans out. The Justice card. I just think it's just like he violates the gag order like another 10 times or something like that. He's challenging the system. And the system moves quickly. Either, he posts some just crazy stuff up quickly or something happens. So if it's a health related thing, it's going to happen quickly and it's going to pause justice type of thing. If it's a gag order thing, which we've got over here, then it's going to be dealt with swiftly by by a hearing. Ace of Swords is the outcome. I don't think this is a health-related event. I think Mr. Dummy over here can't keep his mouth shut. He's just got to be the center of attention. He just thinks that I'm going to do it again. It's going to be another fine. What's $1,000 fine times 10, $10,000. Who cares about that? But there's justice over here, and we've got the Knight of Swords and the Ace of Swords. So it's almost like a bring this guy's butt into my court. I'm going to teach him a lesson that I'm not fooling around, and I will take the crown right off of this king because the King of Swords trumps the King of Pentacles. So we cause a mistrial? I don't think he'll cause a mistrial, but he could he very well could do stuff that violates the gag order that gets him landing in jail or prison. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know if they've got a jail that in the courthouse that they could keep him in overnight, or if they would have to take him over to Rikers Island and let him stay over there in his own personal suite. Okay. We're going to leave it there. Leave some of the mystery involved here as we get closer to it. I could be wrong, who knows. But it does look like the judge has already fined him, and it looks like there's going to be more money or health issues, likely money issues, likely defamation, or violation of the gag order type things going on that causes the judge to react swiftly. The other summing up is it appears that Keith Davidson was a very good witness, a very strong witness, and I don't think that the defense has much of an answer for him because they've built their whole case on disparaging Michael Cohen, which is great and everything, but when you've got two other witnesses corroborating everything long before Michael Cohen gets up there, may not be the best best strategy. We'll see. Thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for your kind words, your shares, your likes, everything you do that's helped build up this channel to the near, all the followers that I have now, which is a ridiculous number. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. For folks new to the channel, welcome to the channel. Glad you found us. I hope you found this reading insightful, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.